camera's pointing. What a pain. I don't know why the camera's got to go so far over. Talk about your camera being off. This one's consistently. Hello, hello.
Oh, we're live. Look at that. Hey, good morning, everyone. Oh, man, it has been quite a week, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
It is one of those weeks that all of us have had to deal with that it's just been crazy. It's been different. It's felt a little bit chaotic.
Yes.
And yet, in the midst of the chaos, I saw some really great things going on. So,
hi, tell us where you're from. Comments? Great. This is Lisa.
That's Joe.
Hi. And she's your coach for Mindset Success.
Coming to you live every Friday. We are excited, actually, you guys.
Well, more than just every. We are coming every Friday, but
yes, I come each weekday.
Yes.
Yes. What would I do without to have him grounding me, huh? Anyway, this whole week was just really, really different. It was challenging in a lot of different ways. And I saw people managing their stress on a number of different levels. And as we did that, it was just really interesting. There were a lot of people just forgetting to breathe. And then there were those who just kind of, you get kind of caught up in things and all of a sudden you just remember. It's just like, take a breath, step back. And as I watched all this play out and as I see the news unfolding and everybody's being tested now for this coronavirus, and now all of a sudden, everyone. Okay, many are being tested.
Yes.
The numbers are jumping like crazy, and I think it's kind of adding to that mindset of what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's one thing I do know, and that is we have control over how we choose to feel. We can choose to accept that stress, or we can choose to kind of take that breath and look for the ways that we have opportunity to grow, look for ways that we can add value to other people, and embrace a new piece of life, right? Embrace something new, new territory to discover, new ways to connect. And I think that right there, connecting with other people is really big, because that's a big question in our minds. How are we going to stay connected? How are we going to continue life in the way that we used to do it?
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting aspect during this past week. Found out or received, we're into multiple feeds of people that we listen to that, in fact, John Maxwell, our mentor, one of our mentors, but a good friend and a person that has focused on leadership for the last 40 years, from his pastoral time to now into talking and helping to transform people across the globe, governments across 7 streams or more of influence. So arts and corporate and religious and you name it. He's talked with people and worked with them to help them understand what they can do, because he's bringing the best of what he's seen across and his own experience. Anyways, they just came back from Israel. Mm-hmm. And so some of the feedback or some of the insights that we got from their trip included talking about what the environment is like in Israel, Pakistan, or not Pakistan, sorry, but Palestine and the region, Syria and so forth, and how it compares to life long ago. But one interesting note was for the last 20 years, there's been 20 crises. So
About
one every
crisis
year.
year.
Yeah. So it's like, wow. If you think about it, you think about you think about some big ones like millennia, turning over the millennia to 2000, the big scare of, oh man, everything's going to stop because our clocks are not going to keep up. And
That was pretty
yeah,
big back
right.
in the day.
It became, well, it's a minor issue.
It's almost laughable from this perspective.
Yeah, but there was a lot of work that had to be done to clean up code and such. But every year, and then 2008 was the financial crisis, and some other things along the way. But if you think about all the crises that have happened, we're always being called to change. We're always being faced with a new obstacle, a new challenge, a new way of doing things. And as we go along, this last week, we one of our other mentors has said every day is like a month of change.
Yeah.
And it's moving so fast. Dining rooms are closing down, beaches are closing down, bars, movie theaters, everything that we know about is changing to create isolation, to create shelter in place, to help slow the spread.
But change is good. And I saw Eric jump on here. So good morning, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Oh, good to see you. Change is good. Change causes us to rise to our greater potential. And it challenges us to continue our growth.
Yes.
So I think this morning you had some ideas, some thoughts and tips.
Yeah. So let's set it. I've gone through many job changes like you have, Lisa. I know there's a lot of people right now that are facing job loss or not sure about what it's going to look like. They've been maybe remote working, but things are going to change. There's a paradigm shift coming, and there's an underlying trend that's happening already. I think back to, what was it, 2011, 2012, working really hard, for the company that I was at, and putting in a new system, helping to create a new way of looking at things, and in risk management, and putting a framework in place, and working more and more and more on my own, trying to lead a team, trying to get what we need to get in place as soon as possible, because the regulators were in trying to say, you got to do it, get going on it. So we were trying to get on it. But in the midst of that, you could see some underlying trends in my world, and that people were being laid off because numbers weren't being met. Just at a quick hat, 500 people, goodbye. And I faced my own. I got called in one day and said, your job's done. What? No way. And that threw me for a loop too. It's like facing kind of what's happening today. People are being told, your job's done. We know two sisters who are running a restaurant chain in
Vegas,
excuse me. Well, in
Reno,
and beyond. They have franchise, but they're now closed down and they're operating with less than half the staff, just to keep orders, takeout, and such going. But it's not their full team. No. And what do? You're faced with that. You're faced with bills, and so here's a couple of things that I think will help. We want to be here for you. We want to be able to help you bring that experience in, bring other people as we can, to further the conversation about, first of all, you can get all the information you need about coronavirus and what the impacts are and what the regulations are. We're not here to do that. We're here to take that and say, okay, given what's coming, what can we do? So one of the things is simple. You're going to feel overwhelmed. We're feeling overwhelmed because changes that we have to deal with.
We have a lot of extra changes coming.
Yeah, we got extra changes. We're trying to move.
Yes. Moving amidst all of this. Can you imagine? Oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the people that the rental office, the leasing office that we're dealing with, has said we're on lockdown.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to figure out how to communicate with our residents, communicate with people that come in that need to come in to see the apartments. To
Yeah.
you
So
know,
what do we do
yeah.
about this?
So first of all, breathe,
Breathe. Ah.
take a
What?
breath, because you're going to see a lot of noise in the environment. Today, or as of last night, now 13,000 cases have been identified. It's just like exponentially growing now.
Well, it's our knowledge of it is
Well, knowledge,
exponentially
the
growing.
awareness,
That's what we're,
the awareness of those things are coming.
But take a time out to breathe. We need to give him time to breathe. Mr. Serious and plowing forward here.
Moving to Wisconsin. No, we're staying down here.
No, we're staying put here. But moving amidst all of this, all the questions, there's financial shifts for us. There's financial questions, because we don't work for a company, right? So being independent like that, the government has some small business stuff kind of, they set the wheels in motion for that. But there's a lot of questions, will our clients continue coming, that sort of thing. And I think the thing is we get sucked into social media, and that's probably for me, I think the biggest
social
thing.
media. Who's got time for that when you're streaming Netflix all the time?
But you can't get away from this, right? You go on the computer anywhere. Yes. You go out, you talk to anybody on the phone, wherever you are, it's the topic of conversation.
Right.
And so it starts to feel heavy. And I think breathing is that one thing that we can do, just kind of center ourselves and, not just breathe, but to take that time to be still, to be quiet, shut your eyes, take your mind off things. Just breathe.
Just step outside for a minute. If there's a lot of noise going on in your house because everyone's there, step outside for a few minutes of your own time. I think it's very important to work on things we've talked about, dealing with your 5 dimensions of your life, and having one idea, one thought of what you want to improve in each of those areas.
So is that tip 2? Having an idea of where you want to grow?
Well, kind of. It's not where I wanted to go with it, but but it's a bonus. Hey, step 1.5. Now, these 5, you don't have to do them in order. You can choose which ones you want that help you. Maybe you're breathing quite well.
Step 2.
Step 2. Okay. She wants to move along. This is Friday morning. We're supposed to kick back, enjoy. Anyways, we don't want to waste your time. So an opportunity is to think about so if we are true to an idea that the world is changing with a lot of unknowns, a lot of fear, a lot of chaos. In this time where there's confusion, where there's chaos, where there's fear, where there's uncertainty, there's the fear of the unknown, and people are panicking, this is a great opportunity for growth. For you, for everyone. Because we've seen throughout history, when we are pushed to the wall and said, things are changing, life is a changing, that our best hours come.
How do we grow?
Well, so it involves, jeez.
I like putting him on the spot.
Have an idea, dear. No, just kidding.
I do have ideas. I've got lots of them.
She's helped us talk about this, and she knows where I'm going. But so here's an opportunity. What is it that if you were to face, or maybe you are facing, your job is gone, or the job that you have today is not going to be exactly like the job of tomorrow. Your role's going to change. Maybe the people that you're interacting with will change. Well, definitely going to change because you're going to go digital more and more. The restaurants, you may only have takeout or delivery. So things are going to be changing in that way too. But how do you create the dynamic that you had in the face to face. So one of the things is keep having conversations. You know, keep those relationships going. So maybe there's some new relationships you need to find. There's a lot of people out there that are sitting at home like you, like
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
at times that, it's just a matter of going back to all those 1,500, 10,000, how many of your connections you have.
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Wow.
Goodness gracious. I don't know where that came from.
You're confused by him.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That dude pointing fingers. Digital networking is what I really meant to say. Is really a different kind of experience because you're not in that big group of people, but it allows us to have more intimate conversations, which I think is pretty exciting.
Yes.
When we can have those conversations that are meaningful, that create that true connection, that we can say, hey, I'm here for you. What can I do to help? And to take time to just really listen. Yeah. That's a pretty neat opportunity.
And this is a great time to not only listen, but also to ask people. So, hey, I see you in a role that I think where I'm going or what I want to change to.
I like that.
And what lessons have they learned? Because more than likely they're going to share. If they don't, you just move on to the next person. But there are people ahead of you. There are people that will, like us. We're happy to talk about what's your next step or what experiences we've had that might be able to help you.
Yeah.
I've gone through change management in a large organization of instituting every single person in the organization being impacted by this decision that we had to do, and we had to make this change, and it affected everybody in the organization. So we went through training. There was a group of us that went through training. I wasn't the only one, but we each had a major role being a leader in this change management because it had to happen. And one of the first things that we do is we say, "No, I don't like change. I don't understand why we have to do this." So there's a lot of people out there that are saying, "I don't want to lose my job, or I don't want to change my job, or I like things the way they were, where we were all in the same office."
Yeah.
And so being able to talk with others that are ahead of you. There's a lot of stuff out on social media, more Facebook Lives and Zoom calls and whatever. Take advantage of those things that will further you.
Mm-hmm.
Take notes, question, get the things that you need to help you keep moving forward. Because bewildered is not going to help you.
No, not at all. What's your next tip?
All right. So I'm looking at the notes over here because, there's a lot. I have a lot, and there's a whole bunch of white space. But in my mind, there's a lot of tips.
If you would have saw his board last night, I was bewildered at the sight of the board.
Yeah.
I came in and it was just covered with thoughts and ideas. I said, "Can you just strip this down for me? Let me know what you're thinking so I can understand it." So,
one follow-up on the building relationships. Don't push your resume. Don't try to go looking for the job. Let the conversation may lead that way if you're having it with somebody who needs your help, your skill set. But look for, how can I gain value from that person? What are the things lessons that will help me? And then see what things you can do to help that person. Maybe it's helping people understand your story.
Right. It's building connections and relationships, really.
Yeah. So think about this. As we move to curbside delivery, to take other delivery methods, how are you delivering your information? How are you delivering yourself?
Yeah. How can you serve?
How can you serve? But how can you just simply be there for another person? There's a lot of people that are troubled around you, your family,
Mm-hmm.
Others in the community, maybe a church group or whatever, that are struggling even more so. So
What
how to
about
put your arms around, that's another way to help plant yourself as, you know, as moving beyond bewildered, but also lifting up the community.
so as we're taking steps forward in this, what about journaling?
Journaling is a good, well, not just journaling. Okay, so not just writing blah blah blah. Well, today I had macaroni,
Oh dear.
or we watched 6 hours of whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Let's see.
So, what's your thoughts? What are maybe it's a conversation you can have as a family. What are you thinking about this crisis? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? What have you heard? What gives you, concern? What gives you that, maybe it's concern, smaller children are hearing this because it's on, and they're concerned about getting it.
So talking through as a family about what you
Yeah.
are concerned about, but I think it's fun to look at the ways that you see other people helping other people. The way you see businesses changing and how that adds value. The different lessons that we see. I think that's part of the journaling experience, right?
Yeah, so I'm talking about journaling, not just necessary writing, but having more quality time, more time. You're together. Turn off the TV, and this is one of the things that I get, learned from a teacher in Guatemala when I was there. It's like, if I just this is what she would say. Mary said this about her family. If I just shut off the TV for 1 hour, I'm overwhelmed. I'm coming in, but if I just shut it down, and it's going to take a lot of work to do that, to prevent myself from looking at the phone, just dealing with all my stuff, and just turned it towards the people in the room. So journal as a group, as a family, journal. Through conversation. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's creating pictures. Maybe it's, I'm thinking about those little caterpillars that you made.
Oh,
the craft caterpillar. The caterpillar on the clothespin.
yes. Okay, so I made these little caterpillars. It's just clothespins with little pom poms on it, but to help them strengthen the fingers.
Right. But so, they had conversations then, right? Some of them.
Oh yeah, we had conversations as if they could talk to each other. That was interesting.
Yeah. What would two clothespin caterpillars say to each other? And maybe it's role playing. So maybe it's acting out what you were feeling, or how to deal with certain situations. What works for you to have that. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It can be whenever you're feeling that the group is stressed, that your family is stressed, that you're stressed. Maybe it's just simply.
It's actually a stress reliever. It's a pretty big stress reliever.
Getting this stuff out of here. And then as you're thinking about it, maybe you're going to focus in, okay, of my 5 dimensions of life, health, or professional development, personal development, of my freedom of time and flow of money, and the other, for example, focus in on one of those things and say, okay, let me write about what I'm feeling about my health, because the gym's closed, right? And I'm not feeling that I'm going to get the same workout going outside, or, oh, did you see? You saw this. Or I told you about this. Taking oil, dropping it on the floor, vegetable oil, and then a little water, and then creating a treadmill in your kitchen.
All I've got to say is be careful with some of that stuff you see out there on internet. I would not want to wash that up. Yeah. That would be a mess.
So we'll keep moving along. But so journal. Think about this last mile. I think we're going to see this a lot more. And as I was mentioning to Lisa yesterday morning, we're talking about education and how it's changing in this environment. And I mentioned, like University of Phoenix, and there were many other universities, colleges, schools that went online early, and they built an online distance program, and they just simply, people would log in and have their class, and then at the end, it would work towards a degree, maybe it would work towards some kind of certificate. And yet you could see them, Globe and others, just shut down their facilities because it wasn't working, because they went offline to back to retail, back to having a storefront, in essence. So what that pointed to us was, here's a skill set that I need, or here's a certification I need, or here's a class I need to take, right? In our world, in our professional world. And we went for just that, but it kind of died away, and we kind of went back to the same model, or it was a mix. It was confused. So think about, what's one class that you could take right now?
There's a lot that we can do.
And there's a lot of free, there's a lot of paid, whatever works, whatever you need for you. Maybe it's for your family,
There's fun stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. I know, Lisa, as you go for helping your students, there's a lot of webinars that you look at for music.
I look at a ton.
So helping to come up with new ideas, or what other people have tried, and the experiences. So this last mile of learning, this, in essence, this little tiny bit of what I need for just now, keep doing that. That's an important aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop growing. Don't stop reading a book. We talked about these books. We talked about other books. You look at my shelf. There's at least 250 books, including the electronic ones that I have, and samples, and so a great opportunity to go take a look and read. One of our friends is reading a book a day still, in the chaos of having 4 children at home, and running a business, and trying to do all that. She's still getting through a book a day.
Mm-hmm. So I think you have one last tip.
I might have one last tip. I'm trying to figure out what that was, but so do 5 things every day. What I mean by that is, as coaches, as we're at, we're doing 5 things every day. We're reading, we're filing quotes, information, such. We're writing in different ways. We're doing lives. We're reaching out to other people. I think that was 5. So read, write. For instance, read, write, reflect.
You said file,
or read, write. Yeah, file and
we always do
network.
those.
And network.
Okay.
And network. So on whatever it's going to be, whatever you need. But you might be doing 5 things already. Just keep doing them every day.
Right. I think what he's really saying, at least
go ahead,
to me, is create that daily habit of 5, so that you're continuing your growth forward, so that you have a focal point that's not just weighed down heavily by everything. But you want that focal point to grow toward. So we're always having that daily 5 that we're building into our plan.
Yeah. Right? And then take time for yourself, or take time to relax, to get away from whatever it is, have a family activity, whatever, maybe it's your own activity, bottle, glass of wine, or if you got it, because you can't find water,
So that could be one of your 5, maybe?
Well, it could be, but there might be a time that you just, put on calm music app, maybe
some worship music, or
whatever,
Yeah.
Play a certain song. Some people were making COVID-19 playlists on Spotify. That relaxing time of breaking away from everything else that's going on, and just getting self-centered. Because today, if you do these things today, you start working towards, and this is part of a bigger program that we lead people through of identity and, where they're at right now, what they look like, talking about, uh,
Foster,
yeah, sorry. Foster the environment. What does the environment look like? What are the voices are? What are the blocks that are around you? What are the walls that you're putting up? And then what do you aspire to? And then, so what's the vision? Where are you living into? What's that image you hold? So we're trying to say to you, that part today is cast the vision, cast what you will look like, what you want to look like in 12 months, in 6 months. Pick a time frame and start living it today. Start living it with vigor, with intentional action today that will lead you to tomorrow. Because if we just sit back, we're going to be worse off than we were, because the world's going to change and it's going to move away from us.
Well, I think we have to choose to adapt. We can be resistant in it, but it's going to be a futile effort, because no matter whether we want to change or not, change is here, and we need to grow forward.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward, actually, you guys. Oh, my nose.
So it's rough. Itchy. So this is rough, and we're going to narrow it down in the next couple of days as we go live next week to talk about, whether it's on our together, that we might be here together on a live or on our own pages, talking about how to put these things into action, how to get focused.
Did you not want to hear what I was looking forward to?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to get it out. I just wanted to share.
I like picking on him. Sometimes I just have to slow his brain down.
This is me with hair.
Great.
I had yellow hair and I had blonde hair.
It wasn't that blonde.
As a child, it was.
Okay, well.
All right.
It's changed.
All right. It's gone.
It's changed.
It's gone.
Listen to that. It's gone. Completely wiped out. But I am looking forward, you guys, to the week ahead for a couple of reasons. And I'm off. It is spring break. Woo woo! I'm excited.
It's always spring break with her. Just kidding.
It is not. There's a lot of but okay, here's
she has fun every day.
Sometimes. I do. So the excitement in my mind with this spring break, there's so much on my plate. I'm just dying thinking about it. I'm thinking about packing up a household for this week,
with a song in our heart,
which is just crazy.
Yes.
But I also have all of these ideas that have just been hanging out in my brain, and I am excited to share them with you. I have tons of value added stuff that I can now work into and focus and share with you guys. A ton. Yes, a ton. There's just so many.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. So I'm looking for ways that I can add value to my community. And apparently that's now virtual. So that includes you, and I'm excited about that. And I'm thinking maybe we'll create a group instead of just putting videos on my page. We'll create a group, have this safe place for us to come together to talk about our thoughts, to move forward, to grow, and really flourish in the days ahead. So
yeah, I think so. Practice these, practice being into yourself.
Practice being into yourself. Wow, that sounds scary and not quite right.
Yes, it is. It's practice of being your authentic self.
That's better.
Figure out who you need to talk to. Whether it's a book, whether it's somebody, watching their videos, watching or having a conversation with them. Breathe. Journal in a different way than just writing, get conversations going, build new relationships with people who are ahead of you. One of the things that we do is we hesitate. We say, I don't see how this is going to help me. Well, we can help you figure that out. You got to raise the question, though,
Mhm.
but we're here, and
Keep rapping.
keep rapping. Anyways,
Keep rapping.
no, I mean, it's simple. It's simple of if we do these things now and be intentional about them, we're going to end up further ahead, and we're not going to be stuck. And people are going to wake up in 6 months from this, and suddenly the world has changed, and they haven't moved with it, and they're going to be behind, and they're going to say, "Oh, I'm stuck."
Yeah.
Don't get stuck now. Don't get bewildered. Don't get lost in the chaos, the fear, the confusion. These are opportunities for your growth, for setting your mindset for success, for what you want to accomplish,
right?
What you need to accomplish.
Like I said yesterday, we need to be transformed by the renewing of our mind.
Yeah.
And this is a fantastic opportunity.
And we're going through it with you.
We're all going through it together, but this is a fantastic time of opportunity. So take what you can, move forward, color your future bright. Okay.
Yeah, like my face is yellow. I don't know what happened. Hello. Okay, there we go. Wow. For a minute.
Okay, not distracted at all.
Sorry.
We're coloring our future bright. You may not be able to live into your adventure the way you had originally dreamed it at this point in time, but know that time is coming. So build into it and really keep moving forward. Reach out if you're feeling stressed, if you're struggling, if you want help in moving forward. I'm happy to have those conversations with you. I'm sure Joe is too. So
don't worry about what's your time. This is not McDonald's. This is not like placing. I got to order something here.
No, it's about relationships.
So we're here to give.
Yeah, just know that we're here for you, and remember, keep breathing through this time. Keep growing. So that's it for today's show.
Woo!
And thank you, Joe, for all of your thoughts. You had a lot of them this week. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thoughts are a dime a dozen. As my dad would say, dime a dozen those thoughts.
Yeah, well,
but keep on creating. And that's the important part. It's about creating, keeping that creativity going.
It is. It truly is. So I don't know who was all here today, but I saw a lot of you out there. So thanks for joining us. We love it when you say hi in the comments.
Hi.
Comment on the things that we have to say. But we'll look forward to seeing you again throughout the next week.
Yes.
And together.
Or individually.
Yep.
Together.
All right.
All right. See you.
Take care. Have a great weekend.